Hi everybody, Mike and Moose here. Can a beginner-friendly starter set produce a great-looking Hornet? Today we're taking a close look at everything in the box before we find out over the next several videos. The review of the A-18A Hornet is coming up next on Modeling with Mike. Alright, and welcome back, and here it is, folks. The 172nd McDonnell Douglas FA-18A Hornet by Airfix. It is the starter set, and this is part one of a multi-part series, the purpose of which is to honestly evaluate the kit from the opening of the box to the finished model. And also, this is going to be my entry into the MK Modelworks Autism Acceptance Group Build. And there will be a special paint job on this. And I am going to hold off on telling you what it is until much later in the series when I actually do the paint job. So in this part, we're going to look at the packaging, the plastic, the decals, the instructions, and I'll give you my first impressions. So let's take a look at the real aircraft. The FA-18A Hornet's role, it was the Navy's new jet coming in around 1974. It was made from 1974 till I believe 1992. Or 94, and it's a popular aircraft because this is the aircraft used by the stunt team, the Blue Angels. And the Blue Angels are well known worldwide, and that's a little history of it. So let's look at the box art and packaging. It's a standard starter set packaging. Have the paints up here. We're going to take a look at these. We're not going to use them in this build, but we'll take a quick look at them. Got a couple of paint brushes, some cement. Got a nice photograph of the Hornet in flight. Same thing on the side here. On the front, on the top, I mean, you have a little history of the Hornet and a drawing of, with the Hornet with some of its decals. Skill 2, get 1 flying hour if you're into the collecting those. I don't see why you would anymore, I think, but we'll get into that at a later date. The back, number of warnings, a number of languages. And you have your painting instructions and your decal placement. But as I said, I am not going to follow this straight out. I have a special paint job in mind, so we'll get to that later in the build. So let's start with the added things here before we get to the plastic. I want to take a look-see at the paints and all this happy-go-lucky stuff that we got here. Let's see if we can just peel this off here. Yes. There we go. Alright. Now, if you remember the last starter set we built, which was the Cromwell tank, put that away, that to the side to throw away. We had problem with almost all of the paint pots except for one. So let's see how we did this time. Number 33, let's open it up. Oh, very good. Very good, very usable. Take a look at this one. Number 103. And this one, I don't like the lid on this, but we'll see if we can open it up anyway. This is pretty well dried up, so that one's a no-go. This one is number 11, and I can tell you right now, dried up. Nothing in there. Whatever left in there is dried up on the side. This is number 156. Come on now. I can tell you it's not looking good from what I see on the side. Oh my. Yeah, this is rock solid. That's rock solid. That one's a no-go. Again, we only have one. 164 is very good. It's useful. So there's two. And this white, number 130, is very useful. Look at that. It's a little thicker, but it's savable. So we only have half the pots here that are useful. We have two nice two nice hairy sticks here. And you know what? I just might use these, especially this one here. Look at the point on that one. I can use that for detail work. Guess where these are going right now? Look at the point on that. Those are going right up here with my detail brushes. And of course, we have the poly cement, which, just like the Cromwell, is exactly the same. We'll put it with the other. So we have three of those. Three of these will go up here. I can find a use for them. So let's look at the plastic here. See what's in here. We'll put the box over here. Move the instructions aside. And we'll get the knife out. Okay, now we'll put the plastic over here for now. And we have 1, 2, 3. We have four. We have 4 sprues of plastic. And let's check out what the verdict is on the surface detail, any flaws. There's a little extra plastic on here that we're going to have to shave off. Some flash around there. That's not looking like flash. We'll have to see, but there is flash around the whole outside of the fuselage. We're going to have to shade that down. Do have some nice small parts. The instrument panel here has a lot of good detail for a small part. Then you have the afterburners here that look pretty good. I don't see many panel lines, but you know, well, now I see them, but they're rather nondescript, let's put it that way. Second sprue, less flash, definitely less flash. We have our double tails here. Landing gear does have a lot of flash on it. We have ejector seat, bombs, pylons. Yeah, not bad, but you got to remember this is a starter set, so the detail is not going to be as great as, say, a more advanced kit. Naturally, I like the detail on the landing gear there. So there's the second one. Here's the front landing gear on the third sprue. And you have your, looks like your rear wings, or no, these are the front wings, I believe. Yeah, nice, nice. And landing gear. Again, lots of flash. There's gonna be a lot of cleaning done on this before assembly, and even on the bombs here, the tanks, there'll be lots of cleaning. Here's your rear wings, the pilot, 2 rear wheels, your missiles. I believe these are like front of the nose cone. This is part of the cockpit, I believe. Yes. So I think the main problem here is the flash. I mean, I'm seeing lots of ejector pin marks. These may have to be filled. Usually they look like these will have to be filled. Usually Airfix is pretty good about putting their ejector pin marks in places where you're not gonna see them. Like these here. I believe this is gonna be covered up by, well, these might have to be dealt with. Yeah. So yeah, there's gonna be some cleaning up of flash, cleaning up of ejector pin marks. There's a lot of mold lines, especially on the wheels here, the rear wheels, front wheels. Yeah. There's some mold lines. There's some flash. There's some ill-placed ejector pin marks. Just gonna have to watch what I'm doing. As you can see right on these wheels there's mold lines, but doesn't seem to be mold lines on the fuselage. They did a good job here. They did the fuselage instead of side-by-side halves. They did top half and bottom half, which will take care of those mold lines, but in most cases. But this is very flashy. So that's the plastic. Let's take a look at the clear parts. There we go. Get this open. And very nice, very nice. I don't see any visible lines in there. Should be easy to mask off and paint around there, and just give it a nice polish. They'll be great. Excellent, excellent canopy parts. We'll put this back in here. Yeah, get in there. Yay-hoo. There we go. We'll put the screws back in here till we're ready to start. There's a look at the plastic. Alright. So let's talk about this here for the plastic. Things that impressed me. For a starter set, I liked the detail of some of the parts, especially the instrument panel. That was great. The clear parts are fantastic. Stuff I'll be watching for, there's a lot of cleanup to be done. I gotta watch for the, when I put this thing together, watch for ill-placed ejector pins, of course flash, and especially on the afterburners and the landing gear wheels, mold lines. So, and we'll find, doesn't look like there's should be any problems with fit, but just from looking at a sprue right out of the box, I'm not gonna say that for sure. That's going to be something we need to just wait and see, take a wait and see attitude on. So that's the plastic. Let's take a look, see, where are the decals? Are there any decals? What happened to the decals? There are the decals right there. They never came out of the box. Okay, here are your decals, and nice and clear. Don't look like they're out of scale or out of register. Look like just about the right thickness. Yeah, and I mean, it's Airfix, so it's probably cartograph. So these should be very easy to work with. Not much in the way of color. That's one thing. I mean, maybe the real thing was like that. You know, like the stars and bars. Stars and bars are usually blue and white, not gray and white. Yeah, stuff like that. Stencils look legible, nice detail on them. Yeah, with the exception of color or lack of. Yeah, not bad, not bad. But we'll see how they look when they're on the finished model. Usually, what I've found with the Airfix / cartograph decals, easy to work with. They go on real easy. Do they need decal solution? I would. I mean, I use decal solution. I use my DIY decal solution on every build, on every set of decals. Don't care. You know, it's just that little cushion that makes me feel better, you know, when I use setting solution. So, and usually they, like I said, they sit down real well. So there's your decals. So now let's look at the instructions. All right, at the front here, as usual on all Airfix, you have a history of the aircraft in both English and French. You have warnings in 14 languages. You have a few for best results tips on the bottom. Hornby Hobbies contact info, and again more history in 3 more languages. Have special instructions to help you along assembly in a number of languages. You have your assembly icon instructions. The triangle, assembly phase. White circle is cement. Black square, do not cement. Red square, final location. This usually has to do with the previous step. And this is optional parts. Means do the step multiple times. Small white boxes, decals. Black circles, crystal part. That means add weight. This means remove by filing. Of course, that means drill, cut, and that there is your paint number. And right here you have the contents of the kit in a number of languages. And then, let's see, if you're a supervising adult, you have advice for you. If your kid's doing it and you're watching them, you'll want to read this. And this is in a number of languages. Safety rules in a number of languages. And then we start out with the construction of the kit. And as is usual, starts out with the cockpit. You have the cockpit floor, joystick, the ejector seat and the pilot, and you have your paint call-outs and the order of assembly. They want you to put the pilot on the ejector seat, then the ejector seat into the floor, and then the joystick into the floor. And then second, you're putting the, now that was part one, it's right there, 1. You're going to put your fuselage together. It wants you to drill holes in the bottom half, right there. You're adding your cockpit down there. Put your heads-up display onto your instrument panel into the top half of the fuselage, and they want you to put this plate right in there. They'll want you to drill here's the order they want you to do it. That plate in there, drill the 2 holes, and put the pilot in there. Then 7 and 8 are your 2 horizontal stabilizers. 9, you'll put the fuselage halves together. 10, well, I don't agree with this. They want you to put 10 down and then add the heads-up display. I would say put the heads-up display on there before you put that in there. Okay, number 3, looks like you're dealing with the air intakes, putting those together, 3 and 4. 5 and 6, just putting 2 halves together there. And this is one thing I like about this. All your parts, this sort of reminds me of a metal earth kit. All the parts are in numerical order. So you don't have to, look around at for sprue A or sprue B and etc., etc. So 7, you put everything on there. Your front wings, your afterburners, couple of small parts on top, and on the bottom of the wings, you'll want to open these holes for your weapons pylons as required. So make sure you see section 20, it says. All right, number 8, you're starting to get your air brake on. You have a choice of having it open or closed. We'll turn the page. Number 9, you'll have, it's where you put all your previously assembled parts on, your air intakes, your side pods, your tail fins, and I just noticed something that I should have noticed before. If you go back to the front explanatory page, okay, no, it's right. Never mind. Okay, so now you put all your previously assembled, side pods, air intakes on the fuselage, as well as your vertical stabilizers or tail fins. 10. Here's the thing with this. They want you to put the canopy on then. Nah. I don't. I usually wait. That's the very last thing I put on a plane is a canopy. I think you're just asking for trouble if you put it on now. As far as when you're getting to the painting step, I would just paint your prop parts if you want to. Well, you're going to have them in there anyway, whether the canopy's down or up. So paint your prop parts, have them put to the side, as well as your canopy for the very last. Then 11, you get to the undercarriage, your rear landing gear, so to speak, your doors, your gear, your wheels, and there's gonna, as I stated when we looked at the plastic, there's gonna be a lot of cleanup here on parts. And note all the question marks. And that goes with, this goes with every airplane model you have. You're gonna have to make a choice of whether you want your landing gear deployed or in there. And if you want it in the bay, you're just gonna have to put your doors on and you're done. So then you go to your front landing gear and you're putting all those on. Again, that's gonna be a choice. Do you want them deployed? Do you want them in the bays? You want them in the bays, you don't worry about this, you don't worry about that. You just go straight to having gluing the doors on there. And then 15, 16, 17, you're gluing your tanks and your bombs, and you're putting them on the carriage there. And same with 18 and 19. Those are your bombs. These are your tanks. Then this is what you drilled your holes for in the bottom of your front wings, so these fairings can fit in there. And this is where you put your bombs and your tanks on, as well as your missiles go on the side, your tail hook. Then 21, you'll have these, looks like two aerodynamic thingamabobs getting put on there, and that's that for your instructions. Then you'll move on to the back here, to the painting and your decaling. And once all that's done, put a coat of clear on there. If you want a fresh plane, fresh out of the factory, put some gloss on there. If you want a used one, put some semi-gloss or matte, and you're set. But as I said, I'm going to do a special, since this is an autism acceptance build. I'm going to do a special paint scheme. The bottom's going to be probably going to be the gray that you see, but the top's going to be a two-tone, a special two-tone camouflage. That's all I'm going to say. So I'm going to put all this away, turn off the camera, and we'll turn around and I'll give you my first impressions and tell you what's coming next. So we'll be right back. Alright, and welcome back. So first impressions of the kit. Its biggest strengths, looks like it has about the right number of parts for a starter set. I think the build sequence, maybe for the exception of one or two things, we'll see once we get to the build, but the build sequence seems to be very understandable and also very common sense. Like, let's see, some concerns I have. The flash, there's going to be a lot of cleanup. If you're a youngster starting, you're going to need, at least on this specific kit, if it's like this on this kit, it'll probably be like it on a lot of other kits. You're going to need parental supervision because you're going to have to be cleaning a lot of flash, a lot of mold lines, especially on the wheels and the landing gear. You're going to have to be taking care of a lot of ill-placed ejector pin marks. It is what it is, you know. All that could have been a lot better Airfix, but The decals, I'll put those as a strength. As usual, look like cartograph. The only problem I see with the decals is the lack of color. I mean, I've never seen, I'm sure they exist, but a jet with gray and white stars and bars. What? You know, I mean, you know. Now, does this appear to be beginner friendly? Yes and no. Construction wise, construction sequence, yeah, it makes sense. Very sensible order to things. A few parts to the cockpit. You know, everything is as few parts as needed. In that way, it's beginner friendly. In the fact that there's a lot of flash to clean off, or ejector pin marks to get rid of, that part not so much. That scares the hell out of me, to tell you the truth, for a beginner. Now, would experienced beginners enjoy it? Well, yeah. I mean, this would be a good kit for experienced builders, because, you know, they can practice different techniques on it. And this is one of these I've been preaching about the past number of videos. You know, for an experienced modeler, it's a useful kit for practicing techniques on. They're gonna have to fill in and get rid of ejector pin marks. They're gonna have to take care of flash and mold lines, and you know, they might have to enhance some panel lines here and there. That's another thing. I'm not real keen on the panel lining. Let me do a little more research on it before I build it, but I think they had a little more distinguishable panel lines on the F-18 than what I saw on the kit. So yeah, that's my first impressions. It's sort of we'll see. We have to go into the assembly of it, won't we? I mean, that's the that's the final decision maker right there, isn't it? Every time. So we'll find out. So the next part of the build series, we're going to go into construction. We're going to do the cockpit. We're going to put together the fuselage and add the wings. So that'll be steps 1 through 7 in the instructions. So that's what's coming up next. So brings me to the question, have you built this starter set before, the F-18 Hornet? And if so, what was your experience with it? Let me know in the comments below. As usual, always love hearing from you. As you know, all the links and all the discount codes that you need as associated with the channel, they're all in the video description. So go there if you want to know what those are. Those now also include a link to my merch store, and also let's see, yeah, I wanted to talk about memberships. You also have memberships now. All you have to do is, when you're watching this video, usually right under the video there's a button that says join. Just press that button, follow the instructions. It only costs $1.99 a month for a membership. Either that, or there is a join button on my channel homepage. So either way, press that join button. $1.99 a month. What else are you going to buy for $2 a month? The soda that's going to eat your eat your teeth away? Okay. So next video, we were supposed to have a review of the Gallery Air Hub airbrush stand today. But here's what happened with the United States Postal Service. The package was supposed to be in the mail yesterday. Didn't show up. So here's what happened. I live in Warsaw, Indiana, 40 miles west of Fort Wayne. The package arrived in Indy. Usually the route is Indy, goes up to South Bend for sorting, comes down to the Warsaw post office and out to my house or my apartment. Here's what happened instead. Got to Indianapolis. Indianapolis sent the package to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And now it's making its way back to Indianapolis. Should be there today, right now, this afternoon, Friday afternoon. And tonight it'll come up to Warsaw and be out in the mail tomorrow. But it didn't make it in time for this video. So next video will be, I promise, fingers crossed, I promise, the Gallery Air Hub review. So, you know, we've waited almost a year for it. We can wait a couple more days, right? So, that's all I got for you for this one. Y'all know what we say around here. Never stop pushing your modeling boundaries. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.